Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, as usual, before I begin with this lesson, I'm going to start it off by giving all the glory and infinite praises to the true and the only living powers, and the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Okaha Kadash. Those are the names of the Heavenly Father as well as His Son in the ancient Hebrew, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who I'm taught and do learn this truth 100% from. Peace and blessings be to all you Wa'akim, who are serving Yahweh Shema Shine sincerity, hoping for mercy, as well as salvation in these latter days, man. To you I say Shalom, and Yahweh Shema Shai Brakathun. Alright, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, and verses 11. And it reads, "And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible." Now, so I got this video pulled up. I seen a couple brothers doing a lesson on it this eve. As you see in the title, she had a vision of shit hitting the fan in Babylon, right? To be specific, she had a vision of a blackout, right? And we know that this is prophecy and one of the ways on how the Lord is going to punish you people, man. Right? If you take a look at what's happening in Cuba, they are basically all out of resources, man. All right, people don't have, oil to heat up their food. No transportation. No electricity. Right now, they over there. Shit, they going through it. You can look up videos and shit, and they over there. They protesting. Due to Trump basically cutting off the oil, man. All right, but the Most High said that He was gonna bring plagues upon Egypt as before, and as a matter of fact, let's go to that real quick. All right, and the average Joe peon, here in Babylon, they don't truly understand the severity of a blackout, man. All right, motherfuckers think that it'll probably be fun. They don't think that nothing bad will really truly come out of it until it does take place, right? Until all the food spoils, until you all out of resources to the point where you seeking the government for answers, right? You waiting on the government to come to your aid, and there's nobody coming to your aid. There's nobody coming to save your day, right? Because the whole time this is something that's strategically planned, right, by the elites to help the crashing of this economy, man. And when I tell you, when it come, boy, it's gonna be bad. The famine, that's another part of her vision that she had. Basically, second is the 15th chapter. Eve mentioned that she had, a couple of things stopped up, that'll be the smart thing to do. For you brothers and sisters out there, if you got the means, if, you able to, get a little extra. That'll just be wise, man. Right? Get a little extra, but if you can't, of course, don't trip, because the Lord gonna come through. All right, but in this vision that she had basically mentioned that it was a month-long blackout. Right? It was somewhere along along that time. Right? Somewhere along that time span. And a good show to watch. I don't know if you want to call it a show or documentary, but it's called The American Blackout. And see, they put these shows out for a reason. This shit is predictive programming. This is something that they plan on doing. I remember it was this Edomite. He was a retired vet. This dude, he was finna release this documentary called The Great State, where he basically was going to show you, martial law, economic collapse, civil unrest. He was going to show you all them things. And they ended up offing him and his family. Right? We know that's something that Esau do whenever you speak the truth. Right? When you speaking the truth too loud, Esau silence your ass. Either he gonna blackball you, blackmail you, or whatever, or he literally gonna silence your ass by putting you to death. All right. But the point being is that the Lord was gonna bring this plague to punish the people. All right. And like I said, people in Babylon truly don't understand just how bad shit's gonna get when there's a blackout here, man. All right, because all your food's gonna spoil. You gonna be running out of resources quick. It's this article I used to pull up all the time. Or this quote, right? It goes along the lines of 9 meals from anarchy. All right. And in the article, or in the summary, it mentions that it only takes 9 missed meals for people to start contemplating on committing crimes to, basically get food, man. Right? And in this vision, she mentioned that she had a little extra, but she knew not to even tell the people that was outside her door that she had extra. You know what I mean? Because she felt like they was gonna harm her to basically take her shit. And that'll most definitely be the case. Right? Because in this same chapter, matter of fact, we just gonna pull it. In this same chapter, the Lord mentioned, people, breaking into each other's homes because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? Troubling times, man. People in Babylon ain't never faced no hardships like that. I don't give a fuck Jake eating oodles and noodles in the hood and shit. That ain't shit compared to, what y'all finna get ready to deal with. All right. Without the Lord, this shit is gonna be unbearable. It's gonna be people literally, eating themselves and eating their children and shit. Basically becoming cannibals. All right. The average person eats 3 meals a day. When I was watching the elder Amon Gabar, he was, just speculating through the spirit. He don't believe that, the first day shit have hit the fan, nor the second day, or possibly even the third day. But 9 meals from anarchy, the average person eats 3 meals a day. All right, so 3, 6, 9, that's the third day. And shit may not hit the fan the third day. But you best believe it ain't gonna take that long, man. All right, it ain't gonna take that long when you got motherfuckers out here waiting, for the government to assist their aid, and there's no answers. All right, because just imagine a month-long blackout. That shit would do damage. All right, people in hospitals will be perishing. People out here in the streets is gonna be perishing because you're gonna have people running out of shit. You know what I mean? People who didn't, grab a little extra. And like I said, just because you don't have a little extra, that don't mean that, if you got the Lord on your side, man, you're gonna eat. You're gonna be good. But without the Lord, boy, you're gonna have people out here that's obese. They gonna drop weight quick. They're going to drop weight quick when they ain't ate in a week. And, it's going to be people eating their animals and shit, eating their dogs, cats, them fish in the fish tank. It's going to be people filleting that shit, But eventually after that run out, after that runs out, then what do you think they're going to do? All right, another good book to read is the book of Josephus. I mention this from time to time. The book of Josephus, he was basically giving his testimony on what he saw during the besiege of Jerusalem. Right, and how Jake was acting and what Jake was doing. You had women eating their children. You had Jake, man, it was no leaves, none of that shit. Jake was eating whatever was edible. and shit, even what wasn't edible, Jake was trying to eat. You had Jake eating rubber belts and shit. All right, so fast forward in today's time, people here are groomed to eat over 3,000 calories a day. All right, this is a very gluttonous ass society. All right, food spots on every corner you go. The average American is over 200 pounds. All right, and with all the drugs and the food, you could just imagine the withdrawals that motherfuckers is gonna be having. Right, all the withdrawals from the sugar and the processed meats, and people gonna be going through it, man. It's not gonna take that long for shit to start to get uglier. All right, but this is the book of 2 Ezra 15 in verses 11. It says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand, and they stretch that arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." All right, and this is a plague that the Lord has sent upon Egypt, and he said that he was going to bring it again. All right, now it ain't going to be 3 literal days of darkness, but that darkness is coming, man. All right, that darkness is coming, and it's going to be like a pillowcase full of locks hitting somebody upside their head because of how bad this shit is going to be. Right, and nobody truly ever believes here in Babylon that shit is gonna get ugly like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been catered to and they've been groomed to basically just be sheep. You know, a sheep don't know shit. It just, you know what I'm saying? It just follows its leader. Right? These people in Babylon, their leader is the government. So whatever the government say, you know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck he do, they're gonna be dependent on him. You know what I mean? Jake don't know Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, so we getting ready to see a lot of Jake out here perishing in some devastating ways, man. All right, it's gonna be Jakes out here, and not even just Jake. I just mentioned Jake because Jake is the only ones that can call on the names of the Lord and receive salvation. All right, but you got to take care of that now. All right, Jake gonna be trying to call upon the Lord when shit's bad. Like when you're reading Proverbs, the 1st chapter, and in the day of your calamity and trouble, you know, you're going to seek the Lord early, but it's going to be too late. All right? But the average peon out here is going to be unrecognizable. You know what I'm saying? Malnourished. Like they ass starving, because they literally going to starve, man. Which is a horrible way to go out. All right? And you're going to have certain people who not going to starve, because it's going to be a dog-eat world out here, man. Right, if they can't get their hands on canned goods, then you best believe, like that scene in the road, it's gonna be a farm full of humans in a basement or some shit. All right, but I'm gonna jump down to verses verses 15. It says, "For the sword and the destruction draw nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands." You know, it's gonna be people out here. You know, because once you get that little taste of lawlessness, you know, I ain't, you know, fuck this. I gotta get for my family by any means necessary, man. I know this ex law enforcement dude. This nigga told me that he got a fucking grenade launcher. You know what I mean? He be showing me his guns and shit, and man, you got these Edomites out here, and I ain't even, not just Edomites. You got Jake out here too, that's stocking up, you know, basically on that carnal shit. You know, that has firearms and weapons that they ready to use. You know what I'm saying? Or that they gonna have to use because they not gonna have the Lord, man. All right. You know, Jake might fuck around and use that rocket launcher to shoot in somebody's crib and blow that shit up. All right. It say, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another." You know, Zechariah the 14th chapter says that your houses is gonna be rifled. You know, you're gonna get your shit broken in. You know, you're gonna get your doors knocked off the hinges. All right, because people, hey, this is why it's important not to be telling everybody what you're doing. All right, don't be telling people that you getting a little extra and you preparing a little bit. Now, of course, we don't prepare the carnal way, but like I said, it'll be wise if you grab a little extra. All right, but don't be telling people what you do. All right, because people gonna remember that shit in the day of affliction when they going through it, and you gonna get them knocks on your door. All right, or it may not even be a knock. It may be, you know what I'm saying? It may just be straight up just they kick in your shit. You know what I'm saying? This is it's like it. Verse 16 again, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Ain't gonna be no listening to the law enforcement. Ain't gonna be no listening to the government. You know what I'm saying? Trump even said he don't give a fuck about Americans' financial status right now. He's worrying about other shit. You know what I mean? People gonna catch wind of that shit. It ain't gonna be nothing you gonna be able to tell people out here, especially when they kids are starving and shit. All right? It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation." Right? And if America has no oil, right, which is the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, man. Right? That's gonna cause motor oil to rise 40%. And on top of that, it's gonna cause a lot of more other things to happen, man. Hey, Jake better wake up, man. This is a sinking ship, and a lot of y'all getting ready to sink right along with this shit, man. All right, but because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, man, a power outage is gonna bring great tribulation to Babylon, man. All right, tribulation that you people have never even experienced nor heard of. The scripture says in Jeremiah 30:7, it's gonna be like a time never before, man. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out because I gotta go ahead and get the camp in with the brother, man. I don't want to desire this lesson was, quick and straight to the point. Lord willing, it was edifying, and that my sacrifice was acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shah. So with that being said, Shalom, Yahweh Shema Shah, Barakutham, till next time.